Hi everybody, welcome to today's Rust video. It's about, it's my simulation learning journal, Rust simulation learning journal. So I'm just sharing my own preferences for doing things in Rust, except I do it in VS Code rather than NeoVim. Okay, so that it's easier to follow, and you can just follow along if you want to. So today I'm going to talk about numbers because numbers are very important to simulation. I'm just going to assume a few things here. If you come from an engineering background, at least you will know a little bit of MATLAB. So that is my assumption for most, if not all of you, that you know a little bit of MATLAB or Python. So I'm not going to go through every single bit of the basics. Okay? I will just assume you've used either one of those languages before or something similar. At least you have a little bit, just barely a little bit of programming knowledge in those one or two languages. So it's not a lot, but that's where we'll start from. Okay, so in MATLAB or let's say GNU Octave, and GNU Octave is the free version of MATLAB, or rather, it aims to be. So you can type things like 1 plus 1, right? And then it'll just give you the answer 2 right here. Okay. If you do things like that in MATLAB, that's fine as well. You have 2 plus 5 plus 2, it'll give you 4.50. Right. Normally, if you just do things like that, you don't really have to care about number addition, number subtraction, 2 minus 3, 2 times 3, using the asterisk. You don't really have a problem doing all this basic stuff. Okay, now, you try to do this in Rust, you might find this approach a little bit problematic. Okay, so let's I'm going to start cargo watch again. Cargo watch -x run. Okay, I'm using the arrow keys to cycle back through some of the commands I used previously in the terminal. So you don't really need to do too much in the terminal, but this is what you need. Okay, cargo watch -x run with a space in between them. Okay, so I'm gonna just start trying to type 1 plus 1 in that. Okay, I think I pressed a button by accident that allows for multi-line selection in VS Code, but I'm not really that used to that. I will just use my standard, Vim key bindings and stuff. Okay, but you can use the mouse as well. I'm gonna try to type 1 plus 1 here. Okay, it will come up with an error. Okay, but the nice thing about Rust is that the compiler pretty much tells you what to do. Okay, so for the most parts, where's the dragging thing? Yeah, okay. For the most part, the compiler is going to tell you what errors there are. First thing first, this is your main function. Okay, and then it says it expects open and close bracket because of default return type. And then it says here, expected this open and close bracket, but found integer. So what is this open and close bracket? Okay, so normally a function is supposed to return something. So I'm going to talk a little bit about functions first, just to give some background into what we are doing. Okay, so I'm going to type a new function. Maybe I just put add experiment 1. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste pretty much this syntax, which is the open and close bracket and the open and close curly brace. All right, so nothing too fancy here. Okay, but if I put the 1 plus 1 here, I'm going to end up with the same problem. Okay, yeah, indent it. Okay, it says it says this, there's mismatch type, function add experiment 1, okay, open and close bracket. It says try adding a return type. Okay, so normally these functions, these are blocks of code that do something. So how you would normally interact with functions, at least in the Rust context, well, in most contexts for that matter. Okay, you're supposed to give it some input and you gotta give it some output. All right. So by default, if you write a function like that, it's not going to give you back any output. Yeah, if you write a function like that, it's not going to give you any output. So the way to let your function give an output back to you is to use this sign here. Now, nice thing about Rust is that compiler, well, most of the time, at least for very basic things, it will tell you what you need to do. So it says here, try adding a return type. So I'm just going to try and do this. Okay, so the return type is normally sandwiched right here. Okay, it's normally sandwiched between the open and close bracket, or the close bracket and the open curly brace. Okay, once you do that, nothing so-called it is okay over here. Right? So what actually just happened? Okay, a function is supposed to take in inputs. Now the inputs, you usually will put it in within this bracket here, and the output will be specified by the last line. Okay, and the type of the output is specified over here between the closed bracket and the open curly brace. Now, if you use MATLAB and stuff, okay, if you use MATLAB and or GNU Octave or an Excel or equivalent LibreOffice Calc, normally you don't need to care about the type of number right here. Okay. And normally you don't have to care about the kind of number right here. Okay, but in Rust you do have to care. Now, why do we have to care? Okay, because Rust is a static type language. Okay, a statically typed language. Now, most programming languages in MATLAB or GNU Octave, those kind of MATLAB scripts, they don't have to deal with static typing. That means you can add integers to numbers with decimals, and that will not be a problem. Okay, so I'm going to open Octave, or rather, let me open Octave here. Okay, GNU Octave. Yep, if I just add 1 plus 1.5, that is not going to be a problem. Now you try this in Rust. Okay, you try this in Rust, 1 plus 1.5, you will have a problem. Why? Because by default, you cannot add an integer to a float. Okay, a float is a number with decimals. So this 1 here is an integer because it has no decimals or anything like that. 1.5 is called a float. Okay, the float, why is it called float? Is because we call it a floating point number, and the decimal point sort of is shiftable. It floats around, so to speak. Yeah. So let's say, I mean, the basic concept is that in this computer, you're maybe given about 10 numbers, to represent a decimal, right? You don't have infinite amount of data you can store within a number, okay? But you have a certain set of numbers. So just say, let's say 10 decimal places, for example, or you're given 10 numbers, all right? Yeah, you're given 10 numbers, but and that this you're given the freedom to represent any number as long as you're limited within these 10 numbers, right? So let's say the number 5. Okay, the number 5 can be 5.00000 with 9 zeros. That's a 10 digit kind of a number. If you have 5,000, then you use 4 of those digits. Okay, so if I, let's say, have 5.0000000, so that's a 10 decimal point number. So let's say I shift the decimal here. I want to represent it. I want to represent the number 5,000. Okay, so I shift the decimal here. Okay, I still have 10 digits, but the decimal point has shifted, so I cannot store as much precision within the last few numbers, but I can represent bigger numbers with the same 10 digits. So in a sense, the floating, the decimal place is shifted up and down, and I guess that's where the idea of a float comes from. Like the decimal is floating around, but you have a limited set of digits to play with. Okay, but that's just to tell you more about the float name. But just for now, don't worry too much. It just means a number with a decimal. So I'm just going to put back 1.5. I'll save. Right. So what do you do when you have statically typed languages like this? I cannot add 1 to 1.5, right? So the way to do it, at least very basic numerical numbers, is to just type for integers. You can use 1 as F32. 32 means a 32 bit number. Okay, 32-bit number, which has 32 so-called bits of memory in that sense. Is referring to the memory. You do this, you will solve one problem. At least you are able to add these two numbers together. But now the problem is that your return type, okay, your return type is an I32. I stands for integer and 32 stands for 32 bits. Or is it? Yeah, 32 bits. So 32 bits is again a measure of memory, okay? But it's usually, most of the time you usually deal with 32 or 64. Now, it's again a problem with static typing. You gotta get used to it. But all right, the first thing to do, is to understand why there's a problem. It's not like Octave or MATLAB where you can just add things together. You have to specify the type and make sure the types match. So what's going on here? This function at experiment 1 is kind of expecting an integer. An integer is a whole number. However, you are returning a float. Okay, the float is the decimal point number. So if you want to solve this problem and make sure this function returns a decimal point number, you have to specify that this is a float. So I'm going to replace this with from I32 to F32. I'm going to save. Okay, so now this code is working properly. So I mean, at least for now, hopefully you know about what floats are, what integers are, and you get the concept of static typing. I mean, it's not easy to grasp at first, but those are important, at least to get used to when you deal with languages such as Rust, but not just Rust, C, C++, and Java. All of these are statically typed languages. Gotta get used to it. Okay, so I'm going to maybe do a few more examples about how you can do math. Okay, now in Octave or MATLAB, you are able to define variables. So things like a equals to 3, right? A equals to 3, b equals to 6. Then you can do a plus b, right? And you get the answer 9. Okay, and you probably want to do something like that in Rust as well. So that's not a problem actually. So how do you do it? Well, if you don't know how to type it in Rust, you can try doing things like that. A equals to 3, b equals to 6. You type it in Rust and see what happens. A equals to 3, b equals to 6. Okay, no semicolons, no nothing. Just save. And what will the compiler do? Compiler will teach you what you're supposed to write. It says here, help. Here's the help. Add a semicolon here. So it says you forgot to put a semicolon. Just put it here. Okay, I'm going to put a semicolon there. Okay, and then it says it cannot find the value A in this code. Okay, you might have meant to introduce a new binding. Okay, so if you want to declare a new variable, you have to use the let keyword. Okay, just like what the compiler here is doing for you. So that's a very nice thing about Rust compiler. That the language features, or rather the thing about the Rust compiler is that it will teach you some of this syntax very early on. So it will guide you. It makes the language a lot more user-friendly for beginners. Okay, so it says let a equals 3, let b equals to 6, right? And then I want to put a plus b. Okay, so I'm going to just blindly put it there, pretending I've not learned anything from the compiler. But it will so-called have another, it will throw another error here. It says as a syntax. So what are you supposed to do? Just add a semicolon. Okay, add a semicolon. Okay, and then right, I want to add A and B. Okay. I want to add A and B and hopefully, return it to the environment. So I'm going to put a new variable C here and just assign the value as C as A plus B. Okay. If you don't want to actually use the value C, you use the underscore. That's what this thing is saying here. Okay, so it says use let underscore to ignore the resulting value. Now it says this underscore thing, it will ignore. So I have 3, I have 6, I'm adding it together to get 9. But if I want to ignore it, I use the underscore. But I want to see the value C, right? I want to see the value C. So I'm going to save it. And of course, now I say C is now A plus B. However, I cannot see any printout here. Unlike what you see here, okay? C equals to A plus B, okay? I will straight away see that C equals to 9. I can't see anything printed here, and I want to actually print things out. Okay, so what do? I can do a few things. I can do a print line. Okay, print line. Okay, and I do a exclamation mark. Now I'm going to put the wrong syntax first. Okay, I'm going to put a print line and I'll just put the C inside. Okay, and what will happen? The compiler will teach you what to do. So I'll just copy and paste this thing here, and that's it. Yeah, you should be able to see C, or rather, you should be able to see C when you call this function. Now again, what's happening here? Okay, I can see a hello world. I save my file, but I don't see the value of C being printed out. Why is that so? Okay, remember the functions are blocks of code that do stuff. However, basically, while I define a function here, I have not even used it. Okay, so doing this only defines a function, but only basically only things within the main function, the curly braces of the main function, only those things will be run. Okay, so what I need to do is to actually just call this function here, add experiment 1. Okay, so I'll just do add experiment 1. Okay, you see VS Code's already giving you a suggestion. You can just click that. And what are you supposed to do to run a function? Okay, the way to do it is to put the 2 brackets here and you put a semicolon here. Okay, that will tell Rust that, hey, I want to run this block of code. Okay, and what do you see? Hello world, I save my file, and then now it is the number 9. The number 9 is over here, C. Okay, so if you have a function and you don't really care about the output, all you need to do is just to have this add experiment, call the name of the function, add experiment 1, and just call the function like that. Yeah, and make sure it's at least in the main function. That's the most basic usage. Yeah, so about 19 minutes. So okay, a few more things I like to show. Okay, so I see there's usually there's a 1 and a 1.5 here. So this function is supposed to return a float 32, and we expect 2.5 right here. So this function is supposed to return 2.5. Now, how can I actually see that value, right? So main over here is doing the print line code, and it's also calling this function, but this function is supposed to return an output. How can I access it? So the basic way to do it is, again, you can do it like this. Let let x equals to add experiment 1. So this is how you return the value from the function. You save it. And then of course you can do a print line of x again. Okay, I'm going to use the same syntax, the same way of writing. So what's it doing? Print line, hello, save my file. I'll say let x, okay, let x equals to the output of this function, which is an f32, a float 32, and I want to print the value of x. Okay, the value of x here is 2.5 and it's printed. Now, of course, these are the most basic ways to print out the value of a variable. Okay, but I personally find this, well, it works. I like to be a bit more lazy. Okay, so I like to do things where I don't have to, you know, specifically tell the print line function, or we call it a macro, but we'll deal with that later. Okay, the print, I want to tell the print line, okay, I want to print the value without always specifying that I want this so-called open and close exclamation and then this curly braces thingy here. Okay, I don't want that. So what do? Okay, there is something called a debug. Okay, a debug function or debug macro. Okay, macros are things with the exclamation marks. So I'm just going to call it macros, but you can almost use them like functions most in this context. So instead of a print line so and so, I can actually use the dbg function, or dbg macro more correctly, debug, and I will want to print out my value of x. I'm going to save this and let's see what happens. Okay, it says hello world, I saved my file. The number 9 prints out here, and then it says from source main.rs x equals to 2.5. Okay, so what does the debug tell you? It tells you where the value is. Okay, so it's in source. Where is source? You see this src here, that's the source folder. The place where the value is being printed out from is main.rs. So main.rs, and you're looking at number 5. The colon 5 here is for line 5. So you see here is line 5, and indeed in line 5 you'll find that the value of x here is 2.5. So I find that debug is not only easier for us to use to print out the debug macro. It's not only easier for us to print out values, it also puts in a bunch of useful information that allows us to see where the value is being printed, which file, and yeah, you will even see what the value of the variable is, and it will tell you what the variable is in the first place. So I kind of like the debug thing a little bit more than print line. Though of course print line is, you know, it works for its use case. It just prints out the value straight away. Okay, so anyway, that's all I have for now. I've gone through things pretty slowly, but yeah, this is just how I like to do things. Okay, see you next time.